Bridgerton meets Pride and Prejudice. Sex, ritual, orgy thing. No, leave me alone, not my problem. Although I will say that she did spell the main girl's name wrong. Yeah, she wasn't expecting that in her new job. Why is there a comma like in the middle of your sentence? That you literally just met her, what do you mean? Magically attracted to each other so quickly and they're in love and blah blah blah. Peasant. Okay, someone is like sawing or something outside. I don't know. If you can hear that, I apologize. It's like, but anyways, yes. Hello, welcome back to another video. I have finally gotten out of my reading slump and I am so happy about it. I'm just back from being away for 2 weeks and anytime I'm on holiday, that is my reading time. Like, I've been reading every day, all day on holiday. I have Kindle Unlimited, so most of these books are from Kindle Unlimited. So I was like, what do I start with? And started with a cozy fantasy. So yeah, actually most of these are like cozy fantasies with some other ones mixed in, you know. So the first book I read, this one got me out of my reading slump, was so good. So is Tempests and Tea Leaves by Rachel Morgan. So I've never read any of her books before, but oh, so glad I found them. Yeah, this was a cozy fantasy and it is book 1 in the Charmed Leaf Legacy, I think that's how you say it, series. And it was marketed as like Bridgerton meets Pride and Prejudice. And yeah, I'm gonna say that is pretty accurate and fae, so like fantasy. So like fantasy, Bridgerton, Pride and Prejudice, all together mushed into one, so good. So yeah, the world is like fae and humans exist, but like humans are like treated as like lesser and like, you know, the fae are like, ooh, ha ha ha, hoity-toity, up high. There's a bit of tension going on there. So our protagonist is Iris Starspun. Okay, the names, I guess, is like kind of like YA. I don't think the rest of them are that weird, but that's the protagonist anyway, and she is half fae and half human, so she is basically like a pariah in the society. Everyone's like prejudicial AF, so she has to enter the fae season, you know, like they do in Bridgerton. She enters the season because she has to like help her family get out of like financial ruin, but of course she starts arguing with firstborn son of the most influential fae family in town, and his name is Lord Jaspian Rowanwood. So yeah, Lord Jaspian is like a purist basically, and he's like, ew, you're half fae, peasant, and literally calls her a half-breed. So yeah, that's the Pride and Prejudice element, you know, where Mr. Darcy is like slagging off Elizabeth and she overhears him, you know, leading to the automatic dislike. But Jaspian's grandmother, she owns this like cozy tea shop. It's called the Charmed Leaf, and it's just like vibes and has like sprites and like brownies, not the baked good, and it's got like enchanted vines, and it's like a super sought after position. So like everyone in society is like, oh my gosh, I want to be her new apprentice, blah blah blah. But the grandmother offers it to Iris. It's just all very aesthetic, so she's got something else going on apart from, you know, just the romance. Obviously it's Jaspian's grandmother and his office is upstairs and her office is also upstairs in the Charmed Leaf, so basically they have to share a study, so you know, we got that forced proximity there. But yeah, the tension was so good. Like, you know, in Pride and Prejudice, the tension is like there's no spice, it's not like a spicy book, which some of you all may be like, oh my god, ew, no spice, what do you mean? And I'm like, I will take tension over any like super spice. You know what I mean? I feel like just tension's more like, oh, you feel the build up, you feel the tension, you want them to get together, you're just rooting for it the whole time. Whereas if I feel like, you know, like some books are just like, oh my god, like spice, like straight off the bat, and they're like magically attracted to each other so quickly and they're in love and blah blah blah. No thank you, I don't want to read that. And because it's like Regency era, even like taking off a glove is like a scandal and it makes like everything more forbidden. So yes, and we got both of their points of view. And I don't usually like the man's point of view. Like I just like to interpret what the author says like in the woman's point of view. I don't know if that makes sense, but his point of view was good as well. We got to see the depth of each of the characters. I did enjoy that, and the writing style was good, the pacing was good, and the characters were actually interesting and felt like three-dimensional people. 100% would recommend if you're looking for like cozy fantasy, tension, and like enemies to lovers kind of vibes, Pride and Prejudice. That was the first book I read. And then naturally, the second book I read was Deals and Dream Spells. So this is book 2 in the Charm Leaf Legacy series. And this book follows a different Rowanwood sibling. So we've got Jaspian's brother, Evrin. So they're basically like, you know how Bridgerton books follow like a different sibling each book, so this is the same. So yeah, we have Jaspian's brother, and this is like an enemies to lovers slash rivals to lovers. So there's like a long-standing hatred between the Rowanwoods and one of the other prominent Fae families in society, and they'd like absolutely hate each other. So Everin and the daughter of this family accidentally enter into this like magical contract where they're like bound to restore this like decades old attraction called Dreamland, which both of their families used to like own and like work together jointly with like their magic. But obviously they need to have a reason for spending time together and everything, so they come up with a fake engagement. So they're like, yes, we're getting engaged, which obviously causes like, woo, a whole big hoo-ha, because they obviously have hated each other for literal decades, and it's like a known rivalry, and all their families are like, absolutely not, you are not marrying each other at all, like forbidden, no. So that is going on there. I won't say any more because I don't want to give it away. But yes, another enjoyable book, although I will say that she did spell the main girl's name wrong in one of the sentences. I can't remember what it is, like obviously I've returned the book now, but I highlighted it when it was on my Kindle and I forgot to take a note of the page. But yeah, I was reading it and I was like, that's not her name. So yeah, she did spell that wrong. So I was a bit like, lol, that's funny. That one was a good one. And then of course the third one, shocker, is the third book. But don't worry, it's the last one. The other two are not out yet. So yes, I read the third book, which is Love and Letter Charms. And this one follows Jaspian's sister Aurelie, and she's been speaking to a random gentleman through this enchanted letter box, but they've been writing this whole time, but they don't know each other's identities, so it's like a big secret. So she has that going on, and then she gets entered into a selection type contest to like win the heart of the prince and like become the princess, to the last thing she wants, because she is like scared of like feelings and intimacy and all that. So yeah, this was like a selection style type of thing, but honestly it wasn't like the selection really at all. I usually don't like books where it's like the selection, because I'm like, once you've read them once, like you've read them all. But this one was really good. I enjoyed. We got the 2 points of view from the people, and I was intrigued the whole time and interested to see how it was going to turn out, and the character development was good for both of them, and the tension in this one was good as well. I also feel like there was a mistake in this one as well. I don't know. Anyways, all of these 3 books were so good in this series. So yeah, I definitely recommend, if you have Kindle Unlimited, to check them out. Okay, so the next book I read was another like standalone cozy kind of fantasy thing, which is Managing the Vampire's Mansion by K.M. Shia, I think is how you pronounce it. This cover, gorgeous as well. Like all of these covers that I read so far, I'm like, oh, gorgeous. So this book is set in a real town in Wisconsin, America. So it's more of like an urban fantasy, but like set in the real world. I don't know what that's called, where you're like in the real world but there's like supernatural elements. I don't know. We're gonna go with urban fantasy. So yeah, here the protagonist accepts a job as a house manager in this small town. She wants to reset her life, and of course, you know, the owner is like dark-haired, handsome, and turns out to be a vampire. So yeah, she wasn't expecting that in her new job, and she's like kind of not really bothered, because in this world, like the supernatural creatures like werewolves, fae, vampires, they've all like made themselves known, so they're like part of the community, so it's not like a big deal to humans in this world. But for some reason her boss, the vampire, whose name is Beckett King, but like King with an E on the end, you know, be more bougie, he is like a vampire but like not out. So everyone else in the community thinks he's like a human who just happens to look exactly the same as all of his ancestors who've lived in the same house before, but you know, anyways, we moved. So our protagonist is a human, and she's living in the house with this vampire, you know, fine. But then there starts to be like rogue vampire attacks like around town. So people they're not getting killed, but they're just like being attacked, and then, you know, let go again, fine. But yeah, all these supernatural creatures like come to Beckett's house because they're like, you're the most powerful, you need to help out with all these attacks. And he's like, no, leave me alone, not my problem. So the protagonist is like, I'm just gonna help. So she starts looking into it. So it's kind of like an investigative kind of thread, but like the most surface level investigation ever. Like, it's not that deep, you know. She starts looking into it, and naturally Beckett obviously starts looking into it as well, because he's like, oh, it's not my problem. But then as he starts to, you know, care for the human who's living with him, he's like, oh, maybe I should look into this. So, you know, it was a fine read. Yeah, I don't know what other words to use apart from like surface level. For me, there was no like character depth. Like, we didn't really find out anything about Beckett and the life he's lived. He was just like there, you know what I mean? They were all just kind of there. It's just like, it was just like not a book with depth or emotion really. There was a bit where it's supposed to be like really climactic and she's supposed to be in danger, and it's just like, nah, wasn't feeling anything. Like that definitely could have been done better. It needed to be like more high stakes, like needs to feel dramatic. No, it just didn't. But yeah, you know, fine for just passing the time reading. So yes, that was Managing the Vampire's Mansion. And then next was another small town kind of cozy fantasy. This was A Sip of Magic by Kate Swansea. So this one was set in Oregon in America, in like some small town. I think it was like Pembroke or something. I don't know if that actually exists, but yes, here we have the protagonist Serena, and she's like setting up a little tea shop, but plot twist, like she's a witch, so her teas are like magical and healing. Honestly, can you see the theme? Oh my goodness. Whoa, that was like an inhale. Anyways, so yes, can you see the theme of like tea shops? The cozy tea shop vibe was existing for me. So if anyone else has any, you know, tea shop recommendations, then throw them at me. I was loving the tea shop. So anyways, there is a dark-haired lawyer, random, across the street called Jared. And, you know, he's just like scoping out the situation because he's not just a lawyer, he is also on the magical council, which I guess like governs all the like witches and warlocks and whatever magical thingies. And once he discovers that she's putting like magic into these teas, like without the humans knowing and without their consent, he's like, you need to be shut down. So I would say the start of this one was good, and like the tension was good up there. But I will say it did start to get a bit insta lovey at points, which again, I'm really not keen on. Just keep the tension going for like as long as possible. So I'm not exactly sure what point it did get insta lovey, but I just felt like going and I was like, you know. But it was a fine, nice, light read, enjoyable. And then I actually do have this one here. Waha! Yes, I reread, guys, don't worry, this is not my first time reading this masterpiece. So I reread Six of Crows. I had it on my Kindle, so this one, I don't know if it's on Kindle Unlimited, I just already had it on my Kindle anyways. I'm sure everyone has read this by now. You've definitely at least heard of it. It's so popular, like it's been on the go for, I don't know when it was published, but like, but if you don't know and you've been living under a rock, I will give you a quick summary. So it's set in the Grisha-verse world. So this is the world like in the Shadow and Bone series. And I read this one first because I tried to get into the Shadow and Bone series, but I couldn't get into it for some reason, which is insane because I've reread this a million times. First chapter is like in a random character's point of view, so that was a bit like strange, but like once you get past that point and you get into like our, you know, the main characters, then so good. So this is a multi POV book, so it's set in Ketterdam and it's filled with gangs, and we meet criminal prodigy Kaz Brecker, aka Dirty Hands, because he wears gloves and everyone's like, oh my gosh, his hands are covered in blood. And so Kaz gets an offer to pull a heist at the Ice Court, which is this like unpenetrable location in like the heart of the capital city in like another country. So full on other country, full of ice and scary people that like to hunt Grisha, who are those who have kind of like magic kind of. So yeah, the Ice Court has never been breached, and Kaz gets an offer and he's like, yes, we're doing this. So he needs a good crew. He already has a couple of people from his gang, the Dregs, which consists of our main people. So we have Inej, who is known as the Wraith. You know, she scales walls. You know, you don't hear her there. She manages to get secrets and stuff. We love her. One of my favorite characters ever is Inej. Then we have Jesper, who's like a sharpshooter. He loves guns. But Wylan, who's good at like demolition, so like bombs and stuff. Then we have Nina, who is a Grisha, and she's like kind of got the power to like control people's organs. And then we have Matthias. Spelled Matthias, but I feel like it's Matthias. I don't know. I'm gonna say Matthias, so oops. And he used to be a Grisha hunter, and there's just a whole backstory. Like these characters, you step into the world and like they already have pasts. They feel like real people because they've got so much going on. Nina and Matthias have like already history going on there, which we learn more about. Kaz and Inej, they all just have history with each other, and it's like the best thing ever. So yeah, if you like heists, really smart schemes and like characters and like a whole book that just plays out in like ways you can not guess because it's just so clever, then definitely this is a book for you. So yes, I read Six of Crows, and then of course I read Crooked Kingdom, which is the second book. Obviously can't say what happened in that because spoilers, but basically yeah, continuation of the first book. So good. So highly recommend those. So those are the ones that I fully read and finished, and now I'm going to go on to the ones that I did DNF, because you know, I started some and I was like, not really enjoying those, but I thought I would talk about them anyway. So firstly, we have The Chaeball's Assistant by Sophie Lane. So I'm obsessed with K-dramas, love them. So I wanted to find a book that was like a K-drama. I didn't have time to watch one, I wanted to read one. So I saw this one and I was like, yes, because I love that, you know, CEO, office worker type of relationship. So this one's about a single mother, Lee Soo-ah, who ended up helping the son of like one of the largest like business conglomerates in Korea. His name was Kang Min-jae. So she helps him out while she's like waitressing at the Kang's annual gala, but his mother like sees them going away and she was just helping him out in a professional capacity, but his mother is like suspicious and is like ends up blackmailing her to become Min-jae's personal assistant at his like mansion. So I was like, yes, this is a great premise idea. Like, I love it. So when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, it's going great. But then, no, I think I had to give up. It was like 20 or 30% because, oh, the insta love. No, if anyone of you watching, like if you've ever watched a K-drama, you know it is tension the whole time. Like they don't just get together like, yeah, it was so insta-lovey. I was like, no. Straight away, tension was like zero. And there was just some things in the writing that came across as like westernized. So like it was supposed to be like a K-drama, like it was set in Seoul and everything, but like the writing was as if it was like a Western romance, if that makes sense. So like there was none of the really like Korean elements of things that would be inappropriate in Korea. So yeah, that didn't translate. I was reading some of it and I was like, that's like not right. So I feel like there maybe should have been a bit more research there. And then also the other thing that got me with this one is for the dialogue, the author would use commas where there should have been like an em dash, you know? So like if one of the characters are speaking and they get interrupted, so it's like, oh, can you pass me? And then, you know, they get interrupted by someone else saying something, so, you know, there should be a dash. Or if they trail off, there should be ellipses. No, this author used a comma. People would just stop speaking and there would just be a comma, like rant, like, what do you mean? Why is there a comma like in the middle of your sentence? So yeah, the writing was very strange that way. So that was a no for me, which was disappointing because the premise was a good idea. So maybe if it got polished up and, you know, reworked, just wasn't personally for me. And then the next one I started, but I couldn't really finish, but this is not the book's fault though. But anyway, it's The Poisoned Daughter by Sheila Masterson. So this one did have good writing and I was intrigued for like a good while. It started off good, the writing's good, the premise is good, like the protagonist is part of a magical family and anyone she kisses like dies because her like kiss is like poisonous, hence the poisoned daughter. And so she uses this gift to like hunt violent men in her city, you know, like domestic abusers and stuff. So she hunts down all these men, kisses them, kills them, apart from one dude who she kisses and he doesn't die. And it turns out that is her new fiance, but he does believe that her family is responsible for the downfall of his kingdom. Probably wants to kill her, that's what I was picking up. And so I was enjoying it up until this point when he takes her home, and then in their city they have this kind of tradition thing where women volunteer to dress up in like white dresses and then there's this like hunt. So men chase them through the forest, and I know it's like voluntary, but yeah, it's this massive like sex ritual orgy kind of thing where the men will chase the woman and then have sex with them. And of course our protagonist decides to creep through the woods on the night that this is happening and gets caught by the man. And he's like, you shouldn't be out here. And then we get a graphic sex scene of not them two, no, we get a graphic sex scene of his friend with this other woman that he's caught, and you just have to stand there and watch them graphically have sex. And I had to stop there. Like, so the book is not bad, that is not for me. I do not want to be reading about that. The spice was too much. So like the book is fine, the writing is fine, that was just not for me personally. But yeah, if you like spice, then definitely check that one out. And then the next one is The Starlit Prince by C.F.E. black. So this one I still have in my library. I'm not sure if I'm gonna continue reading it or not. I don't know how I feel about it yet. And this one is a Spanish inspired story. This one is about a human girl and then she has to marry a fae in order to save her family from financial ruin. You know, sounds a bit familiar, but anyway. And he of course needs something from her, and hence why he wants to like marry her. And so she's still trying to like work out like what this could be, but she's just like fine to, you know, settle into the role of like, right, okay, I'm married to this fae guy now, this is gonna be my life. But we as the reader know there's like something else going on and he probably wants to kill her. So, and you know, it was going fine until again. So insta-lovey, like straight away, like they had to go through this magical barrier which shows you like nightmares or your fears. And like, I think one of his was her in like a bloodied gown. And I'm like, you literally just met her, what do you mean? And then she like starts freaking out because she sees her like parents like strung up. And then he's like, oh, takes her and holds her like this. And I'm like, dude, you literally just met this girl, why? It was just feeling too insta-lovey for me. No. We're gonna see about that one, but I do feel like it's gonna be insta-lovey, and if it gets any more insta-lovey then that'll be a no. It's just like on the back burner for just now, and I don't know whether I will finish it. So yes, that's all the books that I read when I was on holiday, but I did start reading one just at the end of the holidays, so, and I'm currently reading it right now, so I'm just gonna include it in here. So I'm currently reading The Winterfrost Market by Jenny Sandiford, and again, the protagonist in this owns a tea house, but is a traveling tea house this time. But we don't really get to see much of the tea house, so it's not really like an aesthetic vibe. She just happens to own a tea house. And this one is also like a world where there's like humans, and then there's a fae realm, and her mother has gone to the fae realm and she's not come back. So the protagonist Elise is like, I need to see if I can get to the fae realm, and apparently it's really dangerous. There's like elves and fae and witches and all these other kind of things there, so people don't really go there. So she's looking for like this tracker guy who can like maybe lead her there. He may be fae, he may not be fae, I don't know. So that's where I got to right now, literally in the book. But yes, that was all of the books that I read on my 2-week holiday, and including those that I started but did not finish. But yes, I'm out of the reading slump, so await more bookish things. I still have my Love Hypothesis video to come, so subscribe if you want to see my reading vlog to that. I've edited most of it. That one's gonna be a funny one. But yes, let me know what books you guys have been reading. If you have any other recommendations, then put them down below. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!